everyone, and welcome to Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal, and I am your host, Sean Ellis. Tonight we have two great people in the backstage here. They are a couple of my best friends, and every time I go to expos, I always sit with them and chat with Will about books and chat with Kat about a few other things. But I'd like to make a couple of announcements here real quick before we bring them on tonight. I would like to thank Cheryl Torres in the Illinois Paranormal Research Group for inviting me last Friday to the Rock Island Arsenal to quarters one. It was a very interesting night. If you did not see the videos, go back and check on my page or at the All Access or Haunted Happy Hour as well. And I think they've even posted video as well from the Illinois Paranormal Research Group as well. And we did experience some things there for sure. And it's definitely an interesting place to go to. So go definitely check out those videos. Also like to thank Haunted Happy Hour as well. They did some live videos from there as well. I shared them on my page along with the others. So definitely go check them out. So tonight we have Mr. William and Kat Armstrong from Paranormal Exposure. Hey guys.
Hey Sean.
How you guys been?
Keep busy. We've been doing a lot of things. October was a really great month for some public investigations that we helped out with. So
yeah,
a lot of stuff going on.
I heard you guys do tours and stuff for Edinburgh Manor.
That would be me. I'm a representative of Edinburgh Manor. We've had a lot of tours lately. October is usually the busiest month. I just kicked my computer. So we're kind of winding down. It's obviously getting a little colder in Iowa today. We actually saw snowflakes, which was not what we were thinking, but hey, it is what it is.
Right.
But yeah, so I do the tours and check-ins and stuff out there. In addition to the owners that also obviously are there as well. So yeah.
Right. That's cool. I definitely haven't been there yet. That's definitely on my list. So I don't know, maybe before the end of the year I can get out that way, or maybe beginning of next year sometime and go check out cool. Edinburgh Manor for sure. Because I just got back from, like I said, quarters one at the Rock Island Arsenal Friday night. And 2 weeks ago I was at Melbourne Manor. So that was both definitely interesting trips for both of those.
Yeah, I would like to get into quarters one. I haven't done that yet.
It's definitely worth going to for sure. Hello, Annie.
Hey, Annie.
Hello, Pam. Let's see who else is in here. Gwen was in here for a short time. Cheryl Ann, she's been in here too. Tripwire, thanks for stopping in, guys. But yeah, it's quarters one is definitely interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to pop in and say hi real quick.
There's Miss Sandy.
Sandy Harris. Yeah, I've been trying to get her on this show for a while too. She's been awful busy. She's got some stuff I'd like to talk to her about. She does some interesting stuff as well. So some of the places we've both been to, you've been to Melbourne Manor, right?
A bunch of times, quite a bit, yeah.
What did you guys experience at Melbourne?
Oh, which time? We have had large figures moving in the upstairs hallway off of Hank's room towards the attic. We have had things that have rattled doors. We've had some really deeply emotional experiences with team members at Rebecca's room, where that's been pretty intense. A lot of equipment interactions. We've been there for several events where it's been either special people like Richard Estep is one of our favorites. We usually go to Malvern when he's at Malvern. So we've been there for a few events that they've been at. We've done some mirror scrying there, which was definitely interesting. So many things. It's just a long list. We've had a lot of unexplainables, a lot of things that are able to be repeated. It's pretty fascinating place.
Yeah, I definitely had an experience with Shadow Man, as they call him, down at the end of the hallway with door number 2. They said he used to chase the nurses down the hallway. So we had an experience with him, and I was sitting down there at the end of the hallway, and I was filming. And next thing you know, after about 15 minutes, I said, "Hey, if you'd like to come out and talk to me, you can." And he came out, and that REM pod just went nuts. So, but yeah. And Pals from Phantom Pals, she come over and moved the REM pod, and then I don't think he liked her very well. And it stopped going off, and didn't get any more reaction to that. But that will be a show for when we get a chance to go through some of the evidence, and we're going to have a show about Melbourne Manor. So
Very cool.
But yeah, that's definitely interesting. You had some heavy experiences with one of the girls' rooms with some of your teammates. Can you explain what happened in there? Because I noticed there was a little heaviness in some of those rooms.
So, first floor off of that same nurse's hallway, at the back is the room that they say is Rebecca's room. It was probably one of the first times we had the full team there, and one of our team members, Heidi, just absolutely not even knowing the whole story. She's in the room, and the next thing you know, she is just sobbing in tears, and it just hit her so heavy. And she's like, "What is this room? Why do I feel like this?" And started explaining the story that we've been told, that Rebecca was left there by her husband. She may have even been abused while she was at the property. Her depression and stuff was so much that she was actually pulling her own hair out because she was such an upset patient. It's just such a sad story. If those circumstances are really everything that they say they are, it's very, very heavy. I have felt the emotions of that room. I do believe if there's any chance of her still being there, that she's definitely affecting people emotionally. She doesn't seem to like men in her space, but we've actually had permission to have men there, which is interesting. So it just is what it is. I think respect is the biggest thing in that area for being able to be in that space. When she doesn't want to talk, when they don't want you in there, they let you know not to be in there. And it's just sometimes the history and the stories of things are just very sad, and it definitely was that.
Yeah, I thought it was sad for the first time I heard it as well. Shadow people, good or bad, I've had experience both ways with that. So
same, I agree. Either way, it could be either.
Yeah, I'll have an interesting talk on Laura Lee's show coming up on the 17th about shadow people with one of my experiences, and I found out who it was after the fact. But
nice.
But yeah, I can go either way with shadow people. The picture in her room, there's a drawing, like a sketch that's on the wall that supposedly is of her. And it kind of fascinated me when I was sitting there looking at it, because every which way you would go in that room, that picture seemed like it was looking at you. Did you ever notice that?
I haven't really ever focused on the picture because for me, like I don't have any validation that that's an actual sketch of her, other than somebody intuitively made a connection that feels that that's what she looks like.
Right.
And so for me, I try not to be influenced by other people's experiences until I have an experience that can validate it. So for me, I guess I just really didn't even pay attention to that being there because it's not something that's part of the place.
I think what a lot of people focus on in that room is also the mirror, the sink. Because that's where she supposedly would stand in front of the mirror and she would, pluck her hair one at a time. So also people are going to focus on that mirror because that's where she stood and looked into, and she was doing this. So that's probably more the focal point that you would look at, especially if you're trying to get some sort of interaction with her,
Right. I guess the thing that attracted me to that picture was because I like to draw, because I'm an artist myself. And I just thought it was interesting on how you would stand in any part of that room. It would sit there and almost look like it's looking at you. And it doesn't
I'm not
really
even
have
I can't even ever noticed it in there.
Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of depth to it or anything. It's just like a straight up drawing to me, that's what it is. And like you said, it could be the perception of what somebody came up with when they had an experience there. But the fact is, it was just really strange that it just seemed like it followed you. And I just like, that is definitely odd that I had that experience with that. You know, I've come across some pictures before that were very interesting. And I don't know if you've ever come across them, but like a painting of a picture, like one would be like of a barn. And if you change the lens color in it, it shows a different picture every time of something different in that picture. So if you change it to red, it show something different happened to that barn. Or if you change it to blue, something else would happen to that barn. And I thought that was pretty unique when we crossed that in Manlius on an investigation before.
I haven't seen that.
It could also be the placement in the picture as well in the room, where it's placed. Depending on how you turn, you know, you just catch the peripheral vision, you know, just in the picture.
Hello, Christy.
So it kind of gives the idea that no matter which way you turn in that room, where you're facing towards the door, you're facing towards the closet, you're just seeing it, you know.
Right.
And that could be placement of where it's been placed, you know, to kind of give off the impression that I feel like I'm being watched, you know, that picture's staring at me, but it's just your peripheral vision's just catching it.
That's very well true. That is very well true. And that's one thing that me and you always talk about when Kat's busy at expos. We'll sit there, we're talking about debunking things because you are the debunker. It seems more for that team. And when we talk about stuff, you know, and come up with different ways. So, but yeah, it's yeah, I believe that it could be a location of that the way it is. I definitely would agree with that, but I just thought it was weird on how that whole little scenario set up. Like you said, you walk in there, it does got a dense feeling to it, but it's like, whoa. And in the story behind the whole thing of her husband just dropping her off there and pulling her hair out, it's just wow. For sure. We've got Alicia in here and Christy Rico.
Hello.
Hey, Alicia. But yeah. So I know one thing that you do a lot of, Kat, at some of the expos and the events. You teach scrying.
I do. In fact, even locally, I teach at the Metaphysical Shop here in Cedar Rapids. Not the same as always. I'm actually teaching bowl scrying or water scrying this coming up Thursday down here in Cedar Rapids because we got to change it up every now and then. I do that also. So that's kind of fun. But as far as like paranormal investigation, I think having some of those spiritual tools available to you is something that is important when you're trying to get to that deeper depth, especially intuitively. Like all the friends are showing up. Hey, everybody. Yeah, so mirror scrying it's basically using a dark or black mirror. It can be obsidian, it can be glass, it can be silver. I mean, you can use a regular mirror as well. You're basically using that mirror to try to get into a visual depth perception of intuition to be able to get message. And the reason I choose mirrors most of all in paranormal is one, it's a lot easier to carry a mirror around than it is a bowl full of water, and a lot of places don't allow you to a lot of places don't allow you to have fire, so you can't really do like candle fire scrying at locations either. So a mirror is the easiest tool for that. So yeah, it's kind of awesome. It's just kind of one of those things that allows you to get in a deeper depth. I remember you being at the Galena conference with us and being at I don't even remember the name of the building off the top of my head.
It was the Outpost. Yeah, it was the
Outpost. The really old building that's in Galena. And they wanted us to try to do things that were more historic rather than modern equipment. And I said, scrying's perfect for that. And I still to this day, like the pictures that we got of
Oh, yeah.
you crying, where the one you're completely normal, and then the other one you look like you've got an overlay of an older man on you. Like that's fascinating to me. I still
Yeah.
haven't figured that out yet, but it's just a neat practice to be able to Dowling House, because Sandy's the person that gets us in there. We love Sandy. Sandy does the Galena Expos.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that again this year. I have no idea what the dates are, but we definitely will be at the Galena conference again this spring coming up. So that's going to be really awesome.
Well, definitely let me know. Definitely let me know the dates.
Sandy's going to drop the dates in the chat because she's awesome like that. My psychic ability.
Yeah, definitely let us know the dates of that, because I'll definitely come back up again. We had a good time when we were up there. I do like to holler at Nathaniel Elwell tonight. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Nathaniel.
Happy birthday.
But yeah, we just really have so many different opportunities to do and try so many different things, and scrying is just one of the many older style opportunities.
Oh yeah, I thought it was interesting because you said you got the picture of me when I looked older, but then I've got the picture of you that looks like you're a little older as well. And when you were scrying that night, and we were also using a candle, if I remember right, when you were scrying mirrors you had set up in there.
So we were using fake candles, but we were using candlelight to the best of our ability at that point, because obviously we weren't allowed to have real fire. So we had the battery-powered candles for that.
Yeah.
But it was still just enough to make it be very interesting. There is Sandy. May 1st and 2nd is when the Galena conference will be. And it'll be all new speakers and everything. And then the investigations, of course, which is my favorite part. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Definitely have to make my way back down there then, because I definitely enjoyed when we were all down there, especially when we were in the motel and we went on tour and walked around. And one of the rooms Sandy was actually staying in, we actually got shadow figures out of that last year, not this year, but the year before when she did it.
Yeah, the grant room.
Yes, that was interesting.
And Christy says she loves when we debunk. I have to laugh because I'm always the bearer of bad news when I'm at Edinburgh, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, this just happened," and I'm like, "I can debunk that for you," and I'm sorry, but I don't want you to misconstrue potentially paranormal things when I can tell you why it's not a paranormal thing. So I've broken a lot of hearts with some debunking in the last few weeks. It's been interesting.
Oh yeah. So. I'll explain something here real quick. But anyway, Pam Spencer asks, is there a better platform to watch us on? Right now, the only ones we're on is YouTube, Facebook, the Eternal X Wolfpack Paranormal. We're also on All Access Network Television's pages as well. Gwen John's page. So there's several pages you can go check out the show that's going on right now as well. But just YouTube and Facebook right now at this point. But as you were talking about debunking, I mean, I've talked to some teams that I don't know. After I got done talking with them, it's just like I don't know what to think, because they don't go through any procedures to protect themselves. They don't do anything that is any different than what we've seen. You know what I mean? I mean, me and you, I know your team has seen a lot of stuff. I know my team has seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And, it's strange when you go to talk to them. It's like they're lost. Does that make sense?
I've seen some of that too. Definitely have seen some of that.
I don't know if they just don't have the people to teach them better at the time or what, but it's just amazing that they go in and they say it's this and that, and you and I both know about demons and stuff like that, and they can be very rare, but on occasion you can come across one. But some of these people just say demon, 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 and you know damn well it's not.
Well, that's for content though. I think a lot of that is for content. I think there's this expectation. I love that you went back to Jim. We're talking about demons. Hello, Jim. He'll understand that joke. But it's just interesting because so much of what we do, we assume that we know what we're doing. And a lot of times I think we're the dumb ones. So we get into these investigations and I like to really dumb it down when I talk to people that are new in the field because, we're sitting there in a hallway putting out these little devices that are trinkets and gadgets and electronics and whatnot. And then we're like, hey, can you let us know that you're here? Light this up. And I'm sure they're just sitting there like, these people again. Oh my God, they're so stupid. And, we really are. When you think about how we go into these places trying to get an interaction, we look like idiots. If I walked into your house right now, Sean, and started putting little balls down on the floor and a little piece of black pipe with a little antenna out the top, and I'm like, hey, Sean, can you come touch me so I know you're home? Come touch these things and light them up and let me know you're here. That sounds really stupid. Yeah. And that is pretty much what we do going into these places, asking for these interactions without going into a depth of an understanding. And then when the lights light up, there's those that are like, hey, how did that happen? And then there's the people that are like, it happened. I'm running away. It's scary. And I'm there's a lot of variance between how people handle the situations.
Yeah. I think that was one of the cool things that, I experienced when I know you guys were on the podcast that I had with my old team. That's where I met you originally. And then I got to meet you live when we were in Galena. And at the conference that year with Jamie Lynn Keller when I won't come up with her. Yeah. But me and you were sitting there at the dinner table talking and how it was interesting on how me and your energy is exactly alike in some ways, as in the fact that we knew the things that we needed to do when it needed to be done.
Yeah. It's always fun when you work with somebody that has like energy. I don't come across that a whole lot with myself. I find myself to be weird because I am weird and that just is what it is. And that's okay. I'm one of those, and I know that I'm intuitive, but I also am a very skeptical intuitive. So I'm kind of like I'm really hard on other people because I want to test whether they're really, really what they say they are. Mm-hmm. And that's a really horrible place for me to be. But I've had so many instances where I feel like it's been misled or it's misunderstood. And I just want to be able to validate it, which is kind of hard to do in the intuitive mediumship field. I don't know. It's just where I sit. I'm on that little fence of, even with the stuff I get, I keep some of it quiet. I'm like, I don't know how to make that be real for the rest of everybody I'm with right now.
Or explain how to do it. Yeah.
Yes, that's just mine. I'll sit with that and I'll think about that myself.
Right.
Because I give a lot of words.
I'm sure you're like me when you're sitting there talking with certain people. You can definitely pick up their energy and tell what's real and what's not, and who's pulling legs and stuff. And sometimes I just got to get up and walk away.
Yeah. Well, the hard part of it really is that we are all different frequencies. We're all different vibrations. Yours happens to be in alignment with mine, at least when I'm in alignment. Mm-hmm. And we are all different. And that's part of me and my learning is like, I have people where I'm like, I don't know that you're right in what you're getting, but I have to understand that frequencies vary. So he's not the same frequency as me. Mm-hmm. We're not going to have the same experience. And I know that. I don't expect him to pick up what I pick up because he's different. Mm-hmm. And, I've got other people that I investigate with and I'm like, I'm not getting that. And they're like, oh, well, I'm kind of don't know if I'm getting real things or not real things anymore. I'm like, but you're picking up a different frequency than what I'm picking up because we're not the same. And so at locations, because of, Edinburgh as an example, I'm giving tours and people are like, oh, well, what do you get in this room? And if I say, oh, well, this room gets a guy named Harry, And that's all I've ever picked up in here. And I direct a team that this is all I get in this room. And I totally made that name up. I just
Right.
get to be saying it. I'm depriving them of their experience if I'm telling them they need to focus on what I've had, because they're at a different frequency. They're at a different vibration. They're not at the same places where I'm at, not because one is better or worse than the other.
True.
It's just different. So you come in with a high vibration, you pick up something different than if you come in with a low vibration. If you're emotional that day, your vibration is different that day. You know, every single day is different.
I definitely agree with that. It's just like when I ran into one of the team members there Friday night, and I was explaining to him about energy and the different guides and how they teach you, because we both have guides that we go to, and they teach us all differently. Like you said, and that frequency could be different. And I noticed his energy was like mine, and I started to do that energy stuff like me and you were doing at the dinner table that day in Galena. And he was like, that's kind of fascinating. So then we started talking, and it gets really interesting. And then I kind of went in and did some energy work with him, and showed him a little bit of different stuff. And he's going to be coming on a backstage chat here Tuesday. Me and him will be discussing some stuff. But yeah, nice. It's definitely interesting when you wake people up and show them what they can do.
Definitely.
Christy in here, energy, vibration, and frequency. Definitely so. Hello, Ravenwolf. Alicia's in the house still, and Christy. Hey, Raven. But yeah, I mean, everyone's taught different things. Everybody experiences different, and I think you and I both know, what works for you may not work for me sometimes, and I may do it in a little different version to get the same answer. But it's definitely interesting when you encounter people that just start to realize they're opening up.
Kim's just trying to get us to get all riled up. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, well, my opinion in orbs, I don't really chase orbs a lot. I've only seen a few good ones in my time so far, but I rack them up there and almost probably 90% dust.
Yeah, dust, bugs, things like that. We've only captured one that I can say makes me go, I don't know what else to call it but an orb. Other than that, no, we don't really do a whole lot of orb following as well. It just is what it is. Now, I had a young man that was at the manor today, and he was showing me pictures off of his camera from the last time he was there. And I try really hard to be nice, but I'm like, I can tell you why this is a bug, but I did photography. Right. And so what you have there is this bug is further away from your camera, which is why it has the blur of transparency, because when the IR light hits it, and he was kind of like, oh, I guess I never thought about it that way. And so now he went back through his pictures and he's got a whole new perspective, but luckily he was at the manor and he got to try again. But he had one picture. I'm not going to say it's an orb. I said, change the wording on that. That's a light anomaly. I don't know how to explain that. He had a floating bar of light in a video that definitely was its own light source. It definitely was doing its own thing, and it definitely was traveling in its own energy. It didn't react the way dust does. It didn't react the way a bug would. I said, I can't tell you one way or another. I was not here or present for that, but I would say light anomaly. I don't know what that is. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, the one that I actually did encounter when I did see one was at the 1918 house in Chillicothe, where they have the concerts and stuff at. We were one of the first teams at the time to spend the night there, but that orb came straight at me. It took a right, stopped in a location, turned around, it came back, and then it went back the same direction where it came from.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
that's one of the few that I've actually seen that was really weird, because the rest of the particles were dust and you can kind of see them floating wherever, etc. But this one actually made a specific path going to a certain part, and then it turned around and went back the same path and went back in. But normally I don't chase orbs. I've seen some.
Yeah, the one that we had was Farrar School, and it went across the back room. It was its own light source. It was kind of, you could see it kind of pulsating a little bit as it went. It was moving slow across the back of the room, across like the top line of a chalkboard. It instantly changed directions, got brighter, and flew straight at somebody while still doing its own light. And it went into the person that was on camera. And I'm like, I guess we say that is what it is. So that was the one that broke me, because I was like, I can't say that's not. It was interesting.
And the other oddball one I seen, we were at a residential, and they had two doll cases lined up across from each other, and they both had the mirror background in the doll cases to begin with. Okay. And we had a camera just sitting up in the middle of the aisle, and you can tell some floating around, it's dust, but then you had some that seemed like it was going from one case to the other, and then it would turn around and come back to the case again. And that's the only other one that I've ever seen. Like I said, between that and the other place I was at, is the two strange orbs that I seen. But dust, you can catch it off guard, and it looks just like an orb floating. So I just really don't chase them a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good question, Kim. One of those tough ones that we always have to like tiptoe around.
I think minute light or orbs work the same way, she says. So I see you're getting a doll or more coming to you from Kat or Ethan.
So Ethan posted yesterday or the day before that I'm assuming there's two, because one won't even look at him and the other one is weird. So I'm not sure what dolls he's bringing to our investigation this weekend, but apparently I'm getting two more from Ethan. So I currently have probably, I know I'm at least around 300 dolls in this house.
Oh, and wow.
Yeah, it's fun. No, that was weird. A candle just crackled funny when I said that. In fact, William, would you grab that one? Because Alicia would love to see that one.
I'd like to say hello to Letriana Brown. She's the CEO of All Access Network Television. She's in the house tonight.
So a couple people in the chat will know who this is. And so, yeah, I have a lot of dolls. I enjoy every single one of them. This one actually has done some traveling. Spent some time living with Jamie Lynn on her way back to me. So this is Felix. Felix had a long stay of multiple years at the Wishara County Museum because Darren borrowed her and didn't want her. She's wearing her Halloween Annabelle dress.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So she got dressed up for the season. She's got her little Raggedy Ann and Andy dress. Everybody says it's an Annabelle, so we just jokingly, it's her Annabelle dress. So yeah. Cool. Felix is named Darren. Felix spent some years at a haunted location. She was rescued by one of the people that was helping out at that location, and then moved in with Jamie Lynn, lived with Alicia for a while. She's had a few homes over the last couple years.
That's kind of an interesting concept. Maybe that's what we should do. One of us get a doll, and we have a little list and give it to each other and pass it around and have it live with each other for a while.
Kim is trying to catch up with me. She's a doll queen as well. She's a mother of many. Kim has some amazing dolls as well. That's one of our favorite things to talk about, is when we talk about stuff, is all of the fun little adventures that we get from our little pretty friends. Kim also has spent a bazillion trips to Malvern Manor, and a lot of the dolls that have gone to Malvern are probably her fault.
Well, I did see a lot of them there. I seen a couple up in the attic when I was there for sure. One looked like an angel doll.
Josh just sent a couple home with me in October when he was at the Benton County Expo, or the fall market that we just had in Vinton. He had some that he didn't want at the manor because he said they were not things he enjoyed much. So I got a couple new ones that he gave me. But, yeah, I just love them. It's not anything to do with the hauntedness or the spookiness or whatever. I don't believe all dolls carry a spirit. I know there's many people out there that do. Majority of my dolls don't have any spirit energy whatsoever on them. Some of them have residual energy of whoever had them and loved them, but it doesn't make them act out or do haunted or creepy things. Felix is one of my ones that is kind of questionable. She has apparently done some places for people. Alicia has some stories of the fun that she did there. And Jamie Lynn had to keep her in the garage because her husband didn't want it in the house. So poor Felix. So,
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I have had a couple cases where we've come across dolls. No electronics in them at all. We've set REM pods in between their legs, on the floor, and they'll sit there and set them off. And we put a laser grid up behind it and actually seen shadows sitting next to the dolls when the REM pod was going off. So, but yeah, I've seen things like that. And the most bizarre doll I think I seen was in Washington, Illinois, and an older lady had it, and it was a porcelain face. But when you looked at it on camera, it had a green tint to it. Like it had a green tint with red eyes. And it just looked like it was a ton of energy coming from it. And I guess she had it since she's been a kid.
Right there with you, Christy. I like my dolls more than I like people.
I can agree with that at times for sure. Definitely.
But I say the same thing about ghosts when I'm at Edinburgh. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally cool with all of this. The spirits. It's the people that come here that I'm afraid of. So
they can be meaner. The people are more meaner than some spirits. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
That's definitely for sure. That's cool. So you said not all of your dolls have spirits in them, but have you had any incidents with a few of the ones you've had?
Absolutely. In fact, one of the other classes that I teach often is a haunted objects class, because I have enough objects of random things that just have energies about them that are here at my house that I like to share that with others. So I've actually taught that online and in person, where we set up all the gear and we filmed them and talked to them, and we've had interactions both on a video class online and in person. I've had things that I've brought that I thought were non-energetic objects that decided to either act up in class or see you later, Alicia. Or something else is interacting on their behalf. I've got a couple dolls that have never had any activity or energy, and maybe it was because they were sitting next to an active doll that their thing started going off. So it's interesting. I do have a doll named Alice. Alice is her own little personal self, and Alice kind of does what she wants. I can think of 2 occasions where we were having a conversation. She sits up on a bookshelf in the living room, and she has been there forever. 2 different occasions, she has jumped herself off the shelf. I'm assuming in relation to the conversation that we were having in front of her.
I like that comment there that Christy made. Humans don't run from the living, but they run from the dead. I don't get it. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but it is true.
But yeah, and then we've had another instance where, hey, Yvette, Alice didn't like the doll that I put next to her, and the doll was getting knocked off the shelf. And they are put up there very stable. It is a solidly well-built shelf. There's no reason for things to be falling off. They're not teetering on the edge in a haphazard way. So it actually takes something to make them move. Alice has lit up cat balls. Alice has done flashlights. Alice has communicated through spirit box. Alice let us know her name before we realized she was actually marked under her clothing with a little tag safety pin to her dress that says Alice on it. So it's kind of interesting. Now, if Sandy is still in chat, I don't know if she is. Sandy and Jim, they've been here at my house, and we've kind of played around with some of the energies of some of my dolls. I have a doll that we started calling her Red because she has red hair. That's the doll Alice pushes off the shelf. It's just interesting. So we sat Red and Alice together on a coffee table and made them hold hands and stuff. And next morning, Red's on the floor. I don't know. It is what it is.
Kim made a comment up here. She said, I sleep better in a haunted place than I do at home. Actually, yeah. I got about 6 spirits in my home, and even my oldest daughter has seen things fly off the wall and freaked her out. So, but yeah. One of the things about the spirits that's here, I had a guy come knock on my door about midsummer, wanted to kind of do a tour of the house. He said he grew up here. So a couple of weeks later, he shows up and we're walking through the house and he's explaining how everything is and what has changed, what hasn't changed. And then I got to ask him, I said, don't think I'm crazy, but I said, did your mother or one of your relatives stand in my kitchen when they cooked dinner humming or singing? And he looked at me kind of weird. And then I says, or do you have any young cousins that used to play upstairs in my game room area? And he looked kind of weird. And I says, I think I have EVPs of your family members in my house.
That's cool.
Because I hear a humming in here at times and there's nobody in the house at all. So it's always cool to do that. And especially, when my daughter's seen them coming off, I have Matchbox cars on the game room wall up there. And it was literally pulling them off. We were sitting there watching a pay-per-view and they were just coming off. And she's like, Dad, the closet. Because she's an empath. She just don't acknowledge it. She's like, Dad, there's something in the closet. I said, yeah, just leave them alone. They'll be fine. And right. She's like, no. And I said, it's just 2 little kids. And I said, they're just wanting to play. I said, they're fine. Just leave them be. But yeah, she got really freaked out. And I know before my youngest daughter left, she would see shadow people here. And I kind of figured out a few of those since then. And one day we both came home and we were in the game room and I was sitting there and I just about ready to turn the TV on up there. No light, just enough. You can see everything in there decent, Right. But there was a smoke ring going like this right in the center of the room. And I hollered at her. I was like, hey, come here. I said, are you seeing this too? And she's like, yeah. I said, keep an eye on this. And so I went downstairs and I was checking the ceiling fan to make sure something wasn't on fire or we were smelling something different. But yeah, we've seen some weird stuff here in my house and got EVPs out here as well. And even just before the show started, it's just me and the dog. The dog's laying around the counter here and it sounds like the door upstairs opened up. Like it just goes boom.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I definitely sleep better here, and I like sleeping at my house before I had anything else. And even some of the haunted houses I find pretty comfortable at times. And everybody's like, "How can you do this?" And I'm like, "I just can."
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Will, you're awful quiet, my friend.
Well, just thinking there, like, human. It was like Christy said, like humans are haunted. There is an aspect of that because, we all the voices in the attics, in the basement, where the creaking floorboards, and to me, hauntings are recordings So where people have lived before, they leave a little bit of themselves behind for you to experience. So it's not surprising that when you walk this guy through and you're talking, like he's sort of walking you down memory lane, like it was like for him growing up. And you're talking about, I hear the humming, there's somebody in the kitchen, or I hear the playing at kids upstairs. It's just that recording playing it again. It's like, it's captured in, I don't know how the environment captures it, but it just captures certain things and then just replays it back. And how it does it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
But you're just
because normally you would relate that to something that's tragic, with all the energy that was there.
That's a mistake that people make. People think that you have like for a haunting to occur, it has to be something tragic. It has to be either suicide or murder. No, that's not how it works. No, that can happen. But if you have a family that live in a house for 20, 30, 40 years and they're all happy, a happy family,
right.
Nothing bad happens, they're leaving a little bit themselves behind. So I've been in this house since 2014, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard Kat's voice twice here when she's not been here, when she's been at Edinburgh.
So have the kids.
And the second time, it was me and my daughter hearing her. Now I'm like, how am I hearing Kat and she's not here? I'm like, how am I hearing? And when I thought about it, I'm like, well, it's a recording.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. It's just playing it back. The first time I heard it was just Kat saying, "Hey, William." And when I stopped and thought about it, I was like, I was like, nah. I was like, I knew I heard what I heard, but I'm like, it's kind of odd because she's not here. But whatever. And the second time, it was I heard Kat outside, and it sounded like she was talking on her phone to somebody. And my daughter said, "Mum's home." So of course I was like, okay, let me go check. So I'll walk it there towards the front door, and there's nothing there. There was nothing there, but I heard Kat outside talking. My young daughter, heard her. And what should have triggered it after me was I never heard Kat's van pull up. You'd hear the van pull up, the shutting of the driver's door. I never heard any of that, so it never triggered in my brain till later. And that's what hauntings are, like the recordings.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've heard of people, Chrissy, say like mimics, things like that, and I don't know if apparitions can apparitions mimic your voices?
I've actually been on a couple of cases that voices have came up that sound like somebody that was there that I knew. Well, and it is strange how they hear that, and like I said, I think it's a mimic. But I've been in several residentials doing investigations, and I don't know if they're the worst at times or the fact that sometimes I think the families manifest a lot of the extra energy there at times because they don't know what's going on there.
Right.
So, but I do agree with you, Will, as in the fact, if this was their home, it was happy, it's a place for them, I would agree.
Memories, they're going to be there. If this house is still here in 100 years' time, the family that lives in it at that time, are they going to hear my voice? And they're going to go, oh shit, I just heard somebody and they sound foreign,
And I don't know what the hell they said. What's that accent? Oh.
Right.
They might hear my voice. They might hear Kat's voice.
Kind of reminds you of the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman. Do you remember that? Where it's the flip, the flip side of them experiencing us, and we're moving the stuff on them. So it makes me wonder, they can hear us if they're responding to us with lights and REM pods. Right. But what else do they actually hear? What do they feel? Do they feel and sense the same way we do, being empaths and everything, since they're pure energy?
Right.
You would think so.
Every living being, looking at, if you're reading books on parapsychology and things like that, are capable of psi ability or psychic ability, right?
Right.
Think it is like musical talent. Some people are really good at music. They can pick up an instrument and learn it really quick. And other people just, no matter how hard they try, they just can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the psi ability. some people can pick it up better than others. So you think of things like OBEs, right? Or astral projection, or NDs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those three things all talk about the same thing, right? Even though it's just a theory, it's not a proven thing, is that the human consciousness could separate from the body for a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas via dream, sleeping, whatever, right? So if this theory is true, right, let's just say it's true, that's what happens, right? The human consciousness can separate from a living being. Then is that the same theory for somebody after bodily death? That's what you have, is this human consciousness that survived bodily death. And that's your apparition. Or people call it ghosts, you call it spirits, but that is an apparition. It's a consciousness that's floating around.
See, I know me and you have talked quite a bit. I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but it kind of relates to something similar we're talking about right here. But after my girlfriend passed away about 3 years ago, I came to where I'm sitting right now, because I'm sitting in the island in the kitchen in my kitchen here. And I came home one night and the room was totally dark. I forgot to turn the lights on, and everything. And I didn't even have a dog at the time. I just about ready to turn the light on that's over here on this wall. And there's a door. I know you guys can't see it, but there's a door right here that goes into my dining room. And I was talking to my mom on the phone when I was getting ready to come in, and I was walking to the kitchen, just about ready to flip that switch. And I seen my girlfriend in a full apparition. It's one of the first ones I ever seen in my life. She was standing in my dining room. Instead of her hair being blondish red tint, she had silver gray. And I said, "You have more power than you can imagine." And she nods her head. And I said, "You come back to check on me." She nods her head. I said, "You're going to check on all your friends." She nods her head. And then I said, "You'll be around to watch over me." She nods her head. And she took off and she walked straight to my living room right out the front door. And it dropped me to my knees. I mean, I was crying. I mean, you know me, I'm kind of a tough guy when it comes to stuff like that. But seeing her stand there for the first time since the funeral, it just blew my mind. I mean,
yeah.
And, about 8 months later, I was dating somebody for a little bit, and she was over here at the house, and I was sitting on the front porch. I don't know why we're getting backlash, but sitting on the front porch, and all of a sudden I heard a thud in my dining room, and I come in here and she goes, she just dropped me. She said she grabbed a hold of my throat and dropped me right here in my dining room. And she says, if you're wasting Sean's time, then leave. She ended up leaving. But yeah. So, I mean, I've had some strange experiences when it comes to that, and especially the deal with coming to that night as well.
Yeah.
So, but
you said your girlfriend had, what was it, brown red hair?
She had reddish blonde hair. She had blonde hair when she put kind of red tint in it. And when I seen her standing there that night after she passed, a few days after she passed, she had silver gray.
So it's interesting how seeing an apparition, right? Mm-hmm. Or see how you're seeing a non-corporeal being in front of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I've always read is that apparition, again, this is just what I'm reading. No, everybody agrees. Everybody receives it differently or takes it differently, right?
Right.
But for an apparition to try and interact with you, right, because it's no physical anymore, it has to do something else, right? Mm. And our brains are really good things. Our brains are good at receiving things, perceiving things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order for her to communicate with you, right, what she was trying to do, it must be she's using some sort of psychokinesis, I want to say, or telepathy or something. She fires this image to your brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's also interesting that she changed the color of her hair.
Right.
And if you think about people who encounter apparitions, some people say, well, I saw this apparition and they look like they were in their 30s. Another person might see the same apparition, but that apparition looked like they were in their 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So an apparition can change its appearance based on the situation at that time. So it seems like she changed the color of her hair. Now, does that have a symbol? Is that a symbol or a meaning? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I think
But
to me that means she realized that she did have the power after the fact. You know, a couple days later, somebody brought my dog to me and said, you know, this could help you out, you know, because from being alone and not her being around and stuff. And I remember her always saying, you know, if it wasn't for her dog after everything that's happened to her, you know, she probably wouldn't be the person she was. You know, the dog kept her out of trouble. You know, it was like her best friend when she didn't have any around. And about 4 days after Guardian showed up, 3 o'clock in the morning, started growling for no reason whatsoever. I mean, just growling. She never met Guardian. I mean, she's already been passed and already gone. And then I got this really bad pitch sound in my ear. And I was like, okay. And then the next thing you know, I hear her voice. And her voice was telling me things in my head, like you were talking with the telekinesis, as in the fact of talking a different way mentally. Because I definitely heard her voice like it was just me and her talking. And it said certain things to me, and she wanted me to take care of some other issues that was going on. And but she says, just remember one thing: I loved you, and don't you ever forget it. You know, that was one of the things she said at the end. But she wanted me to take care of a few other things. So that telepathic telekinesis thing, I have experienced that, and it's just like I said. You hear that bright, ear-piercing sound. And then all of a sudden, it's like a voice just speaking in your head.
Yeah.
I want to say shape shift to a degree. I would say more like creating a form that you want the person you're sending this to receive to look like.
To Christy.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what it's doing. It's creating an image of itself. It's saying, okay, I'm going to look like this. This is my face. This is what I'm wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sends it to the person that is trying to interact with. The person's brain receives it, and then also the brain makes sense of what it's seeing. So that's what you're seeing. Some people don't always get visual sight. Some people get audible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get smell. That's why we're all different when it comes to psi ability. Not everybody's going to pick up everything the exact same.
Right.
Granted, you can have a bunch of people who see an apparition all at the same time, but then you have other bunches of people who one person sees an apparition, one person hears it, and the third person doesn't see or hear nothing.
Mm-hmm. She's also the one that told me and showed me how to cross the veil at will. She said I was capable of doing it. So every time, you know, I kind of feel down and kind of bummed once in a while, I'll definitely cross over and I will have a conversation with her. And she does sit there and talk with me. And a lot of people I don't think can realize that everybody can do that if they want to.
Right.
So it's definitely something, you know, like I said, and I can always feel her around and tapping on my shoulder. Every time I'd go to make a decision, right, it's always good. Left, just leave it alone, you know, or she'll whisper in my ears, like, it's not worth it, just go. So it's interesting, but that's the first time I've seen a full apparition, because otherwise when I see a spirit, it's like heat coming off the concrete, like the energy wave. It's not a full apparition. It's just like energy standing in front of me.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So that, go ahead, Will.
I agree with what Chrissy said in our last comment. I think last one now. That That's what I like about the paranormal, because if everything's just theory at this point, and everybody's got like a different outlook and a different opinion on it, and I think that's what makes it, you know. Because I can say, like, I think it's this, right? She can say, I think, no, I don't think that's right. I think it's this. And then Sean, you can say, well, no, I don't agree with you. I think it might be this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it, because we all have this thought or idea what it might be.
We disagree on a lot of things.
But one of the things I think is interesting is like when me and Kat are together, or people like me and Kat that can sense things like this and pick up things, we do perceive it different. But then when we sit there and we start to analyze it, we can come together knowing that that's what it is. We don't really have a disagreement about it. It's like, okay, I can see it from her point of view. She can see it from my point of view. And it puts the pieces of the puzzle together. And some people you can't do that with.
A lot of people you can't do that with. So
you can see the heat gases. No, I don't know if it's necessarily the gas, but I do see like the energy field where it's walking. And it's kind of like, I guess the easiest way to describe it, it's kind of like watching Predator when he's stealth, but a lighter version of it. It's not, you just see the faint waves of things walking and moving. It's not like on the movies, I guess.
And see, for me, it's even weirder because I get like frequency colors and things with stuff when I'm looking at energy. It's different. And to explain that is really hard. That people are like, oh, well, if you're intuitive, then what does he or she look like? And I'm like, I don't know. I know it's male energy because I know.
Right.
And I can tell you why I know, because claircognizance is one of those things that just messes you up. But when I see things, more than seeing like, oh, well, it's a man with this hair color and this facial features, I generally will see frequency waves with a hint of whatever color goes with whatever the aura of whatever it I can't say, oh my gosh, man from the 1900s wearing, the short pants and the buttons. It's just what it is. And it's, it's not a temperature. It's not I always say, it's an energy. It's a frequency. I see an imprint of a frequency.
Right.
In an area, and it just that sounds really stupid, but that's what I see.
That's how I normally see it as well. And I can put my hand up like this, and I know you can as well, and you can tell when the energy changes around it, and you can feel how it's either the dense or that energy's got bad energy to it, or it's got a lighter side to it. You can definitely tell what.
Yeah. Like when we did the energy work at the Dowling house.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
You be Christy there. Like that's always been one of my thoughts about why we see apparitions. Like the idea that there's other realities that are stacked like one on top of each other, like a stack of pancakes. So you have us here, right? And then you have all these other realities, and sometimes they kind of, even for like the briefest second, they sort of clash into each other. So then you might see an apparition and think, oh, I just seen a ghost, but it could be somebody from a different reality, if that makes sense. It's kind of like when you watch, let's just say you get home from work and you're watching the news, right? You're tuned into it because you're tuned into that frequency, you're watching it, right? If you change that channel, you're then tuned into that station, right? Or that news station. But the other one, exists, is there, is playing. You're just not tuned into it unless you go back to it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does.
And that's what I think there is. There's all these real little realities. We're just knowing the same wavelength as them. However, sometimes I do think that they kind of slightly just come together, then pull apart again.
Yeah. She said your hands are the receptors react. I definitely agree with that, because some of the things I freak people out with here lately is I'll tell them to take their left hand and stick it right in front of their face and put the right hand out in front of them and blow into their hand. They could actually feel the wind around their fingers, and it freaks them out. It's like, what the hell? So that's one of the things that has come across. And if somebody puts their left hand up to my right hand and I do that to them, they can feel it out of the right hand, the breeze coming around their fingers. And they're just like, you're not right. And I just
never have been, John. You never have been.
It's like they look at it, it's like, what are you? And I was like, I'm just me.
Yeah.
But you walk into someone's home that alternate reality. Yeah, I can say that on a few aspects because of what they've manifested there, and we picking up on what they've done. I can understand that part of it. But yeah, so I know, like you said, you did teach a little bit of, or you teach scrying, and now you're doing water scrying. I mean,
Yeah. So it's the same concept. It's just doing it in a vessel of water, or obviously you can do it in actual like river, lake, whatever. Also water. Water is water. But it's just another method of being able to use a different medium for the same outcome. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a class that I'll be teaching this Thursday at Real Life Metaphysical Shop in Cedar Rapids at 6 p.m. on Thursday the 13th. I think that's the 13th. It is, because Friday's the 14th. Time is flying so fast. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. I like the water also because you can use other things in the water to just kind of enhance the energy. So I like to put crystals in my water, and I like to put oils in my water and herbs and things. And I usually use a black bowl. You can use very shiny bowls. That's actually what the more ancient times would use.
Right.
It's just kind of one of those things to be able to have, again, another means of connection. So
and water and energy work go hand in hand because it's a conductor.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
That's interesting because that takes me back to one of the things when I went through the Akashic Records, seeing the scrying. And that's where I picked it up. And then Pam started showing me how to do a little bit of scrying. And then, I learned from you as well. And it's definitely interesting as well, Risky to play with water. I don't think it's risky to play with water, but see, I'm not normal. I've got the markings of all the elements, so things like that, it doesn't bother me that much.
Yes, I have copper bowls as well. I like the black bowls because I like the depth of the darkness. That's just where I live, is in the dark, deep places, I guess. But definitely copper, silver, metals. I mean, all of those things work as well. I don't know why. I'm a child of fire, so it's basically all of the other things. I like candle scrying just as much. I love reading wax. I love reading flames. I love reading smoke.
Flames is a good one too.
So, I like a lot of different mediums. I like being able to share those things with people in ways that make it not frightening, how to protect themselves, how to set themselves up for success. And then in a class, if I can tell you're not quite catching on, I will give you instant advice of like, hey, do this instead. Try this way. It's not going to always be the same for every person. And that's why I like a hands-on in-person class, because it allows people to, figure out what works for them. And I think that's really important.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody's a little different, but like I said, you were one of the few that I've come across that mean your energy is right on line with things. And we do like a lot of the same stuff as well. And I always found that is interesting. And then ever since then, we've all been friends since, when we were up there in Galena. And I definitely like to team up with you guys in the future and do an investigation and do some stuff that maybe other people really don't like to do. Because I know you kind of go down that line once in a while. So
Me, I don't do anything like that. No.
it's just like I wanted to use a Ouija board at one place, and they looked at me like, "Oh hell no!" And I was like,
Yeah. Edinburgh won't let you either. So that's one of the rules on the wall is no Ouija boards there, and that's okay. That's the respect of the owner and her wishes, and I totally respect that. So
"Well, we got permission to use a couple of the places we were at, but the people that I was with on the investigation just like, no." And I'm like,
and see,
but
that comes down to trust factor, because like there's people that I absolutely would not do that with. There's people I will not pull out scrying mirrors around. There's people that I don't. The energy for me to want to use the tools that are there, but I'm in the space of other people and their energetic imprint as well. And if I don't like the way that energy is interacting with my energy, then I don't bring out those tools. So,
but they're at our possession, and we're able to use them where other ones fear, and I think that's great because, like I've always said, balance is the key to learning all.
yeah.
I mean, you can try other things as well. I mean, like one of the things I like trying at locations, and I'm going to say straight away, is like I like doing the circle EVP method.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's combining an EVP, modern EVP session with a seance type feel. And also a seance is something that everybody knows and understands. Now, also a lot of people
Not understand.
Some locations don't like doing seances at all, but it's no like doing a full seance. It's just partly.
Mm-hmm.
And also adds in the fact that it's maybe the energy combined to do this circle EVP might help in getting a response to something.
Mm-hmm.
If those in the circle are putting the energy forth to make it be. Yeah.
That's why I'll try it.
It makes me curious if we get a lot of people that are the same energy doing that, what will actually happen? I'd love to see what the turnout of that would be.
Right.
Because it's definitely would be interesting.
We will make that happen, Kim. Kim, you'll have to message me on the side. We'll set something up, even if it's a video call. We'll talk about it. I'm totally good with that. Best friend special.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. That Kat's one of the best when it teaches stuff like that. So definitely get a hold of Kat. I know you do spells too, don't you? As well.
Yeah, I do.
And that's pretty much custom work for you, ain't it?
It is. As I said, I'm a creature of fire, so I do a lot of candle magic, a lot of work with herbs. I also am very much into medicinal herb usage, so not just the magic side of it, but the medical side of it as well. Intention is so important in everything. You can make anything be a spell. I love that we have to label ourselves with all of these new labels nowadays, but like cooking is magic. Putting stuff on the stove in a simmer pot is magic. There's a lot of ways to change and alter what your energetic space is by using different things and different objects. I'm very much into a lot of the stuff that would be related to hoodoo and conjure. Not because it's dark and scary, but it's based off of a belief system of you use what you have when it's available, because they didn't have a whole lot. And I find a lot of that fascinating. I like to read up on a lot of things when it comes to that, because I think there's just a depth to it that we don't have nowadays because everything is so commercial and so available. And I think there's a lot more to the simplicity of what used to be. So yeah, there's a lot of layers to all of that.
Yeah, most definitely. I definitely have run into some people that's constantly having bad luck. I'm trying to explain to them, what you manifest, what you bring, and until you start changing that and start manifesting good stuff, you're going to stay in that rut.
Yeah.
And you're
Everything
going
you say and feel is a spell.
Yeah.
You're manifesting with every word that comes out of your mouth and every action that you take. You're manifesting with everything, whether you mean to or not.
And the one thing I like, I know several people that have told me about certain things they don't like me doing. But the funny thing about it is, I'll sit back and I'll explain things to them. It's like, hey, it's not any different than going to church, saying a prayer, doing this, doing that, because it's still casting a spell. You're still manifesting things. But the fact is, we're helping people to understand what's going on and everything else, where some people won't do that. And I think we're doing good things.
Yeah. And I'm still religious. So, there's ways it all crosses and intermingles into being what it is. And if we took the time to understand the similarities and the differences rather than point fingers and shame and blame for what others are doing wrong, there would be a lot more positivity going around. So, and Jim, we will definitely talk more about medicinal herbs.
Yeah. And like I said, learning everything across the board and being able to balance it is a key. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I've said that numerous times, because if you run across something that's dark, you could probably use something dark to take away. If you go across something good, use a lighter side of things. But if you don't have that knowledge, then you're stuck. And then when you quit learning, that's another issue in itself, because you're constantly learning. And as long as you're constantly learning, you're going to progress.
Definitely.
So, well, guys, we are 17 minutes past the hour. I know you guys got a busy schedule and stuff, and I definitely appreciate you guys coming on. I miss hanging out with you guys, and we definitely have to get together sometime soon, or at least after the beginning of the year, and do an investigation together somewhere.
That'd be cool.
And especially, like I said, Edinburgh is definitely on my list, so I need to figure out how to get that done maybe by next year, and take that off my bucket list as well. So, but it's always great to see you guys. And like I said, I missed you when I was down at Rock Island the last time. And because like I said, normally when you guys are at expos, I normally sit there and chat with Will, and we talk about books and debunking things. And we always get in a pretty deep conversation about stuff. And then when I get to talk with you, we talk about other things with Wiccan and all the other stuff. So, and especially scrying. I definitely have my scrying mirror drawn out. So next time I see you, we're going to have to sit down and put one together. So
Sounds good. Sounds good.
But thank you guys for coming on the show tonight. Is there any place they can find you at?
We are mostly on Facebook. We have a TikTok, but I have used it like twice this year. On Instagram as well. Facebook's the easiest way to reach us. Everything is at Paranormal Exposures. Pretty simple. We kept it as easy as possible. So if you're interested in just us in general, Cat Armstrong, you can find me on Facebook. So Will Armstrong, you can find him he's a William. But yeah, we love what we do, and we love being able to share it with people and having the conversations about all of it. So feel free to reach out. I enjoy that very much. So
yeah. And I will say this, because like I said, I have met these two several times and talked to them. These guys are a great team, and they know what's going on. They know their stuff. So definitely check these guys out. I'm going to drop you backstage, guys, and I'll be with you in a minute.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Kat and Will from Paranormal Exposure. These guys are awesome, and I've been friends with them for a while now, and they definitely do some awesome work. Now, next week, we have Haunted Happy Hour with Lillian and Vanessa. They will be on. They were with me at quarters 1 last week, along with Illinois Paranormal Research Group. We'll talk a little bit about that, of what they experienced there when we were there last Friday. We will also talk about the Masonic Lodge when they were there with an investigation with us, and Eternal Paranormal as well. So everyone, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for your support, and we will see you next week. Have a great weekend, what's left of it. Bye, guys.